Howdy there, folks. Welcome to part 41 of Pokemon Red. So, we are just about now to enter into the Elite Four. Make sure that you have everything that you're gonna need. Pokemon, the right Pokemon in your team. You want to bring your best. All the healing items you may need, because once you go through the door, you can't come back unless you lose. Which, if you lose, don't worry. It's not like you can't try again, but yeah. Welcome to the Pokemon League. I am Lorelei of the Elite Four. No one can stop me when it comes to icy Pokemon, something freezing, be at the mercy when they are frozen solid. Ha ha ha, are you ready? I don't know why I was going that fast. Maybe I was getting anxious. But yeah, we start off with Lorelei, actually my favorite Elite Four member of any Pokemon game ever. Absolutely love her Pokemon and her team. Well, except for one of her Pokemon. Anyway, even though she says she's ice-oriented, her team, which it kinda is, it's more heavily water-based. What I mean is, all except for one of her Pokemon have water in their typing, and that means that the most obvious type to use against ice Pokemon will only work against one of her Pokemon. Instead, go with lightning. At least that's what I recommend. Can technically do grass as well, but grass is weak against ice attacks, which almost all of her Pokemon do have them. So I believe lightning is the better choice. As you saw with Dewgong here, I'll sum it up real quick. It has rest, don't piss around with moves like Thunder Wave, go for the knockout. Clayster. Clayster is a high defense Pokemon like physical defense. Its special defense is not so great, as you can see right here. It almost got knocked out in one Thunderbolt by a level 39 Electabuzz. It does know Supersonic, which can get annoying, but I don't know what else it has because, as you've just seen, it only ever used Supersonic on me, and I don't remember what else it has. Not that big of a deal, but it is there. Might want to be prepared. Slowbro. I get very lucky against Slowbro. I do recommend the move Thunder Wave because that'll help somewhat, even though you're almost guaranteed to go before it. Her Slowbro is very, very, very good with as far as tanking goes. It has the move Amnesia, which is both offensive and defensive, and it has Withdraw, which will boost its defense. It has a ton of HP, and if I didn't get the critical hit with Thunderbolt, this would have taken a bit longer. I'm not sure what else it has. It didn't get to attack me. Again, I got pretty lucky here. And Electabuzz hit level 40. Huzzah. But this takes us to her Jynx, which is the only Pokemon of hers that Lightning is not super effective against. Jynx is Psychic/Ice type. And as I've been saying throughout this whole LP, you won't be hearing it a whole lot longer. Psychic type is the most overpowered type in the game. Ice, however, is not. Ice is weak against fire and fighting, I believe. But it's also Psychic type, so that's not a good option. You want to stick with fire. So I switch over to Flareon, and I'm going to Fire Blast. I recommend, if you have the move Flamethrower on a fire Pokemon, or any Pokemon, go with that over Fire Blast. Because Flamethrower is the best fire attack. It is the equivalent of Thunderbolt, Surf, Ice Beam. Moves like that, only for fire. I do not have that, so I use Fire Blast and then Body Slam. And with that, Jynx goes down. It actually hit me the hardest of her whole team, because none of her other Pokemon attacked me. But that takes us to Lapras, without a doubt her toughest Pokemon. Normally, my team is probably about 10 levels higher or so on average at this point. I'm actually doing the Elite Four at a relatively low level. Normally, if my Blastoise was level 50 or so, I'd stick with the strategy that I tried to go with here and try to use Blastoise's defensive position against Lapras over Electabuzz's offense. And I'd just kick out Seismic Toss, constantly doing 50 damage, since that would actually do a lot better at level 50. But because Blastoise is level 42, I realized that this strategy's not working, and so I switched to Electabuzz. If you can get Paralysis off, I strongly recommend it because her Lapras is fast and it will get to attack several times before you knock it out, even with Electabuzz. Because I got a critical hit there. It would have taken at least 3 Thunderbolts in order to knock out Lapras, which Electabuzz wouldn't have been able to do. I got very lucky against Lorelei, and I strongly recommend that you level up a little bit, or, well, you're pretty much gonna be a higher level than I am, because I've run from every single random encounter. Anyway, with that, we finished off my favorite Elite Four member in any Pokemon game. Kinda sad, but hey, it happens. And you want to make sure you heal in between battles. You're going to want to make sure you have full restores, because they're going to be your best friends. Because, as you can see, Blastoise is paralyzed and really low on health, and rather than have to use 2 items to heal it, I just have to use a full restore. Full restores are awesome. Anyway, let's move on to the next Elite Four member, which you're going to want to bring out your Psychic-type Pokemon if you have one. If you don't, I recommend Water. That's pretty much it. We will grind you down with our superior power. Hoo-ha! Anywho, we're now facing off with Bruno. Bruno is definitely the weakest member of the Elite Four. It's crazy, too. Lorelei was so much tougher than Bruno. The problem with Bruno is, 1, he has Onix, which is Rock/Ground, the easiest type to take out. Onix is not very strong as a Pokemon by the end of the game. It has a low special stat, meaning Psychic-type attacks are going to rip him to shreds. As you'll see right here. That wasn't even a critical hit. That's how weak Onix is. He has Hitmonchan, which is so-so. It's so-so. It's still pretty low. At least I think it is. That's just me, though. He also spends a lot of time using X Defense, and I don't know why. I don't know why, because at this point in the game, unless it's a Pokemon designed for being bulky and taking hits, which Hitmonchan definitely is not, the X Defense aren't going to help at all. And because Hitmonchan is weak against Psychic-type attacks, Dream Eater knocks it out one shot as well, and fully heals Hypno. Which Hypno then hits level 41. Huzzah. But then he sends out Hitmonlee, which may be his toughest Pokemon. It's kind of a toss-up between this one and one we'll see later. I recommend going with Psychic over trying to use Hypnosis on this one, because it hits very fucking hard, and it's just not worth it to fail with the Hypnosis. But now we come to the real reason why he's definitely the easiest of the Elite Four. He has another Onix. His leadoff Pokemon, which is super fucking weak at this point in the game, unless you know how to use it. If you know how to use Onix properly, it's actually pretty decent. The AI does not know how to use it, and he has 2 of them, and they're both incredibly easy to knock out with Psychic-type attacks, or Water-type attacks, or Ice-type attacks, or Grass-type attacks. Anywho, though, we now come to the other Pokemon, which I feel is a toss-up between Hitmonlee and Machamp here. Machamp is the final form of Machop and Machoke. It definitely hits very hard with physical attacks, but it's not very fast. And I feel like Hitmonlee is the more balanced of the two, so that's why it's kind of a toss-up. Machamp hits a lot harder, but Hitmonlee is somewhat faster. Anywho, though, yeah. The easiest member of the Elite Four, by far. You shouldn't have any trouble with him at all. Even if you don't have a Psychic-type Pokemon, go with Water. I know for a fact Water kicks his ass almost as badly. So, much like the previous Elite Four member, this one's also 100% weak against Psychic-type Pokemon. Oak's taken a lot of interest in you, child. That old Duff was once tough and handsome. That was decades ago. Now he just fiddles with his Pokédex. He's wrong. Pokemon are for fighting. I'll show you how a real trainer fights. I'm so sorry for that voice. Anywho, this is Agatha. She's tougher than Bruno. She is tougher than Bruno, but all of her Pokemon are weak against Psychic-type as well. But anyway, this is Gengar, the final form of Ghastly and Haunter. It is very, very, very fast. I don't know what all moves it has. I know it has Confuse Ray. It obviously has Hypnosis. It knows Nightshade. I'm not sure what its fourth attack is off the top of my head. But because it is Ghost/Poison type, even though it's fast and it could have potentially knocked me out, it's weak against Psychic type. Psychic type's the most broken type in the game. And this is Golbat. We've seen Golbat a bajillion times. It's not really anything to worry about. As you just saw, even with superpower, well, not superpower, even at level 56, it doesn't hit very hard. Golbat is really strong at the beginning of the game, but by the end of the game, he's more of a frustrator. So, because he's also Poison type, he is a one-shotter. Oh no, I'm sorry, I guess a two-shotter. I fully expected him to be a one-shot Pokemon. Anyway, something I haven't mentioned yet. If you use Dream Eater and it doesn't finish off the Pokemon, but rather leaves them with a sliver of health, use Psychic the next turn, because there's always the chance to wake up and then you'll fail with Dream Eater. Anyway, this takes us to Haunter, which is a weaker version of Gengar. I'm not sure if there is even anything different between her Gengar and her Haunter, but anywho, same type of deal applies. It's super fast. It has a lot of annoying type of moves. Confuse Ray, I think Hypnosis as well. And I'm almost positive it knows Nightshade. But unless you're getting absolutely shitty luck like I do here, I mean, seriously, I think Haunter hurts itself like 4 turns before it finally finishes off Hypno hurts itself like 4 turns before it finally attacks Haunter. Excuse me. But again, because Dream Eater's so fucking awesome, I'm almost fully healed again. And so I finish it off with Psychic. Just in case it were to wake up, which it didn't. It stayed asleep for a long-ass time, so can't complain. Hypno's not too big of a deal. If you don't have a Psychic-type Pokemon, Fire, Water... I'm gonna recommend Water for almost everything, though, so... Fire, Water... You know, many things like that. Special attackers, basically. But this takes us to Arbok. I know it knows Screech, and I'm fairly certain it knows Glare. I don't know what else it has off the top of my head, because it gets knocked out pretty quickly as well, because it's a Poison Pokemon, and Poison's weak against Psychic. Psychic's the most broken type in the game. And as you can see, it dies really quick to Dream Eater. But this takes us to her final Gengar, and honestly, I don't know... Oh, well, this one knows Toxic. I don't know if the first one knew Toxic or not, but... There's Toxic. It's another reason why you're going to want full restores. I'm fairly cocky, though, and relatively certain I'm going to be able to knock it out before the poison becomes a real issue. Before the damage it does increases to a point where I can't just handle it anymore. So... Overall, Agatha's not that much harder than Bruno. She is a little bit tougher, and she might give you a little bit of trouble if you don't have a Psychic-type Pokemon, but all of her Pokemon are Poison-type, which makes her very easy to knock out. Not too much to worry about. And I am something special. Anyway, Gene the Pink Panther, stay tuned for the final part of Pokemon Red in the next video. See ya.